Welcome to Heidi Relationships. Today, we'll read some more stories from Reddit. But before we start, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. That would help the channel a lot. Thank you very much in advance.
The first one is titled, My 35M. Wife, 35F. Wants to move back into the house but wants me and her parents to move out. Here's the very short and imperfect story. My wife and I have been married for 13 years. About 5 years ago, her parents had the rent increase on their home by 20% at the same time my mill was getting really stressed out from her nursing job. So, we all agreed to buy a bigger home and live in it together. Her parents, our 3 daughters, 10, 8, and 6, and us. Then 2 years ago things got rough. In my experience, it was like a switch flipped and my wife was a different person. I tried to help and change and do everything that she told me she needed, granted, screwing up along the way because I'm a human being, but it wasn't enough. She moved out 4 months ago because she said the sexsomnia episodes were far more traumatic than she had told me in the past. She gave many other reasons for needing to move out as well. Needing space to process, too high expectations from me, that I tried to make happy memories with the girls without her, etc. She's since gotten a salary job and I'm proud of her for getting that job in a field she loves. We're in individual counseling and, up until last week, we're in marriage counseling. The second is on pause right now because my wife says the hour of marital counseling is too difficult to deal with and is getting in the way of her healing. I was really sad to end the counseling for a season, but I don't want to get in the way of her healing process. But here's the thing. Yesterday my wife came over to the house. It's not been her norm. She's usually only been coming over on Fridays for a family movie night that we agreed would happen after she moved out. Then she tucks the girls in bed and leaves. She hung with the girls, which I was glad for, but as she was leaving, she told me she has 2 weeks to determine if she's going to extend her lease on her apartment for another month or not. She then said she wanted to move back in, but that would mean I would have to get my own place or a roommate. Then she said in a perfect world she'd want to have her own place where the girls come over every other week, that her parents would have their own place, and then I would have mine. We said we'd have a conversation about it sometime in the next 2 weeks before her apartment deadline approaches. Here's my question. What if I don't think it's a good idea for me to leave? How do I communicate to her that I see a lot of problems with her moving in and me moving out? Concerns. Even before things got rough, my wife said she wasn't a morning person. So, I got 3 kids up and ready for school every weekday. Walk them to the bus stop and see them off. My wife used to work nights occasionally. So, my mill would watch the kids when they get off the bus at 3:30 until I get home at 5 p.m. Then it's my time. We do homework, eat supper, get cleaned up, and ready for the next day. Then I read to them and put them to bed around 8:30 p.m. But now my wife works every night of the week except Friday. How could she possibly have the girls at her own place? She's made it clear that living with her parents stresses her out. It was her idea in the first place. But she really likes living in her apartment because it's quiet, and no one asks any questions, and whenever I put stuff down it stays there. She said the girls overstimulate her in ways I couldn't understand. Yeah, they're kids under 10, that's what they do. So, she doesn't want to live with her parents, who can't afford to live in our neighborhood on their own, doesn't want to live with me, which I won't argue at this point because it's a non-starter, and wants to live in her own place where she can have the girls over every other week. How in the world does she think she'll be able to do that with her job? She may get the girls up in the morning and off to school, but then what? Not see them until 9 p.m. every night? That might work in 6 years. It won't work next week. And I'm supposed to leave because she wants to move back in? She left. She said she needed to leave. Now I'm supposed to get out because she wants to move back in? I love this woman. I want her to be a part of her kids' lives. They need their mother, but she's been absent for a long time. She'll continue to be absent from them in her current job. I just don't understand how she thinks it'll work out. I feel like if I lay all that out to her, she'll shut down, get upset, or something else I can't envision. Additional things people may ask. The house is in both our names. She's a co-borrower whose income was not a part of the loan. We still have a shared bank account. She can't keep her current spending habits and afford this house. She has said she wants her own bank account. She hasn't gotten one yet. I'm paying for all home, car, medical, dental, and life insurance out of my paycheck. And contributing to our, yes, still our, retirement fund. She is receiving a paycheck where none of those things are taken out. Just income tax and social security. She's paying for her apartment and utilities. The next one is titled, Update 1 to the Wife Moved Out Story. It's complicated, but she's missing everything. I mean, she's come for birthdays and every Friday night we have a family movie night at my place, or the kids sleep at her apartment. But they're back at the house by 9 a.m. the next morning. But that's really it. She moved out last October to get space. She said it was the only way we could possibly save the marriage. That the kids should stay with me. So, she could have space. And she took a job with a crazy busy work schedule that meant she couldn't help with our 3 girls after school. And because she worked so late, she couldn't help getting them to school in the morning. Then she quit 1-hour marriage counseling every other week because it was too much time for her busy work schedule. Then she said she wasn't working towards reconciliation. She didn't want it anymore. The girls and I spent the day today in the swimming pool. I made the girls hamburgers and we watched TV and played video games together. She's missing it. Not because I kicked her out. Or because we couldn't make it work. She's missing out because she chose her career over her marriage. Her friends over her 3 kids. Her chance at a fresh start, instead of a chance at making 15 years work out. The girls want to go see real fireworks show for the 4th of July. She can't make it. She wants to go to 2 concerts the 2 days leading up to it. She says she wants to be selfish and ask that we wait for their first fireworks experience to be something we do together. At least she's being honest. She is so very selfish. The next one is titled, Update 2 to the Wife Moved Out Story. 5 years ago, my wife, 35F, and I, 35 meters, decided my in-laws and us should move into a bigger home with our 3 girls. The house is in my name and my in-laws paid for groceries. We covered all other expenses. It was great having live-in help and they let us steer the boat. We had normal ups and downs, but it was mostly good. About a year ago my wife moved out. So, it's been me, my 3 daughters, and my in-laws. Though my wife hasn't filed, divorce is on the horizon. So, a few months ago I asked my in-laws to find a place. I needed to have my own space with my kids. Tonight, I helped them move their first bits of furniture into their new rental, less than half a mile away. It'll be a long process. It'll be awkward. But I admit it feels good to begin to have my own place. Anyone else have a good relationship with your in-laws? Or other family in town or close by? How's that worked for you? The next one is titled, Update 3 to the Wife Moved Out Story. Sunday, my STBX and I had coffee for 2 hours. It was our monthly check-in with each other. She's still at her job at the gym where she works late hours. She's planning on buying a house when her apartment lease is up around September. She'd like to get a job where she can have the kids every other week. But she hasn't found anything yet and has said she would like to stay in her current job for another 6 months or so. My in-laws moved out last month. I asked them to. If a divorce happens, and in all likelihood it will, I couldn't handle living with my in-laws. I needed my own space. They live about a half-mile away from us now. Little more than a 20-minute walk for our youngest through a park. We've done it a few times as a family. I needed the emotional and physical space. For me and my daughters. Granted, my ILs are still over a lot. My mill watches my 3 daughters, 11, 9, and 7 now, while I'm at work. I'm a pastor. My church leadership is aware of the situation. In August I'll have a meeting with my bosses and that will determine if I continue being employed there or not. I have another stream of income, so I'm not wildly concerned about being able to take care of my kids, but I do love my job and would prefer to keep doing it. Someone asked if I was my in-laws' pastor and had control over them. No, I'm not. They're adults who are walking this road with me, their son-in-law and their daughter and grandkids who they love. My STBX and I went to marriage counseling for about 6 months. My STBX said she was no longer interested in reconciling after that time. I was heartbroken over that, but not surprised. The counselor said she saw hope and a possibility of reconciliation. That hurt to hear because it's not what my SBTX chose. I can't force her to reconcile. I just want her to want to. But because we quit our monthly marriage counseling sessions, she suggested we get coffee every so often. That's why we met Sunday. We plan to meet every month to get caught up and stay current on the girls and take care of any business we need to. That was her idea. It was also good to just chat. As weird as it was, we were open with each about our current struggles, our current hurts, and potential futures. I've told my SBTX I have no intention of being a jerk or slow-walking anything, but I don't want to divorce her. She will have to be the one who starts that process. We've already spilt bank accounts in half. The rest, like home equity and retirement, will come when things are final. She comes over to the house every Friday. We either watch a movie as a family or she takes the girls to spend the night at her apartment. Then they come back over Saturday. It's not perfect, but it's what we're doing now. She took our oldest to get her ears pierced Saturday. That was super sweet to see, and I was glad they had that time together. I'm in counseling. So, is she? We both admitted this is a tough season with a lot of hurt and anger and pain, but we're navigating it well. So far at least. We've both had to get new counselors. Mine was let go after his internship was up and hers graduated from her school and moved to Utah. New territory for us both. The plan is to co-parent as best we can. We have 3 young girls who will have divorced parents. One is about to start middle school and we all know how tough a transition that is. So that's it. That's the update. Do you have any tips for remaining civil with your divorced spouse? Are your ex-in-laws still a part of their kids' lives? This isn't a made-up tale or, as someone suggested, a trial of my soon-to-be edgy romance novel. It's real life. It's messy and it's hard sometimes. But it is life. And I'm going to make the best of it. The next one is titled, I Ada for telling my stepdaughter she has to leave the house after she called me a home wrecker and insulted me. My stepdaughter and I don't have a good relationship. I have been in her life since she was 9. Her father and I started dating 3 months after he filed for divorce. We were colleagues for a short while about a year before their divorce, but we didn't have any relationship back then. I left the firm just 6 months after we started working together. I didn't even think about him once till we reconnected at a party hosted by our colleague. His ex-wife thinks that we had an affair with me. There is nothing we can do to convince her otherwise. She told her daughter about her suspicions when she was around 13. We had a great relationship till then and I tried to tell her that her dad didn't cheat. She doesn't believe us. It is just our words against her mother and the timeline does look a bit suspicious. She withdraws from me, and she has always been distant since then, and sometimes she made some remarks about her father being a cheater and it was very hard on both of us. It was something we tried to talk about, but it was just our words against her mother's, and she truly believed it. She returned home for summer break after her freshman year. She decided to spend most of the time with her mother, but she does visit us a few times. She visited us 2 days ago. She was in a remarkably bad mood. She was just stewing in silence and watching something on TV. I asked her to turn the volume down as I was working. She blew up on me. She called me a home wrecker and a gold digger. She accused me of ruining her parents' marriage. I was stunned and shocked and it hurt me. I knew she didn't like me, but she clearly hated me. I think her calling me a gold digger hurt the most. I am at a stage of my career where I want to switch to something less stressful, but one of the reasons I don't is because we don't want her to be burdened by debt. I love this girl even if she didn't care about me. I asked her to leave the house and come back when she could be a bit calmer. She left the house, and she is not talking to her father. He tried to talk to her, and she is not speaking to him. I feel incredibly guilty. I should have handled it better. I got too emotional about it. I really can't blame her for believing what her mom told her. If my mom told me something similar about dad, I would have believed it, and I can't blame her mother too. If you believed that your spouse cheated, wouldn't you tell your children at some point? I let her words get to me, and I may hurt my husband's relationship with her. I feel guilty as hell. My husband also think that I should have been calmer here and just let her vent a bit before talking to her. A user in the comments said, "Nah, except for her mom. That poor girl has been poisoned by her mother, but can you blame her? It's her mom telling her that stuff. You can't expect someone, who was 13 at the time of being told, to be a detective to find out if it was the truth. I bet her heart was broken because she loves her dad. But I also don't expect you to put up with it. You are innocent, even if the timeline is suspicious. You shouldn't have to put up with verbal abuse from anybody. Maybe you could have handled it better, but you could have handled it a lot worse, too." Another user said, "NTA, she was incredibly rude to you in your own home, and she's an adult, not a hormonal teen anymore. Your husband should be firm with her, but he's probably afraid of losing her altogether. Invite her back now that everyone is calm and show a united front. Tell her the facts of your relationship, that you pay your way, and that you love her. Also tell her that her rudeness won't be tolerated in your house. She might be unhappy, but she can't sit on your settee watching your TV and expect to treat you like dirt." The next one is titled, "I Ada for telling my adult daughter the truth about why I wasn't in her life. Recently, I got back in contact with my adult daughter M, after having had nothing to do with her since her birth. She's 25 now, but honestly I wasn't around from her birth all the way through to when her mother died a couple years ago. Now, I know I'm not a perfect person here, I've done some bad things, but in this case I don't think I was the bad guy. M's mother and I dated for about a year after I graduated high school in '95, while I was just in college. I'll be honest, her mother was a rebound girl. Never thought it would be a long-term relationship, or anything. We became close, and did couple things, but I always made certain to use protection. I didn't want kids at that stage in my life, and thought I'd made it clear to M's mother. After coming back from family vacation one summer, I'm surprised to find that her GF apartment is empty, and she's dropped off the face of the earth. Poof. Gone. Over the past years, I often wondered what happened, but any attempts at searching for M's mother failed. A couple months ago I got a visitor out of the blue, and after some awkward moments, M introduced herself as my daughter. She wanted to know her dad, but at the same time I felt this hostility there. She was angry, rightly so, at me for not being in her life, and I got the impression this was a, "well, I can say I met the bastard," type of thing. She told me how her mother had died a couple years prior, only after finally telling her my full name and to go looking for me. It had taken her that long to finally track me down. She wanted to know everything I'd been doing to that point, while I still found it hard to believe. Eventually she asked why I had never been in her life, and I told her 2 reasons. 1, I didn't know you existed, and 2, your mom completely vanished on me. She didn't believe this, and scoffed, but telling her my own story about what happened seemed to mesh up with some things her own mom had told her. This has created a problem. M practically hates her mother for what she did. She accepts that I didn't even know she existed, and couldn't find her, so she can't fault me for that. However, she worshipped her mom, and now she's finding out that not only did her mom lie to her about the reason I wasn't around, but now she even questions about her own birth. Was it some stunt by her mother to force me to stay around? We talk from time to time, but her mom has gone from being respected to that lying witch, among other things. I genuinely feel bad about this, and wonder if I was the asshole for telling the truth and destroying whatever memories M had about her mother. So, Ada? A user in the comments said, NTA. She deserved the truth. But I don't know why she thinks her mom got pregnant to keep you around if she ghosted you like that without ever telling you. Another user said, you were 19, she was 35. She wanted kids, you didn't. She had the money to completely move while you were on vacation. Before finding out that she was 35, I thought she was your age or around there, and that maybe her family insisted on it. Not, she did it. She had this entire thing planned, and your vacation was fortuitous timing. She had no intention of having you in her life after she confirmed the pregnancy. NTA. And if she lied about that plan, imagine the lies she's been telling her daughter. This is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed the relationship stories. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video and write a comment. I really appreciate your support and it helps my channel so much. Thank you.